Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. I'm really excited to have an opportunity to visit with Kara Lamphere today, an industry veteran and certainly one of your peers. If any of you have seen the Mortgage Machine LOS in the past, I think that you probably saw a system that was very robust and a little bit different concept of how to bring all the necessary tools to the table compared to what you may be using or compared to certainly what others are marketing. We promote with Mortgage Machine that you have an LOS that has all the tools that you need. So an all-in-one concept as opposed to having an LOS, and then you've got, a dozen different third-party vendor contracts that you have to manage and all that entails. So if you've not seen it, okay, today we're not showing a full demo of Mortgage Machine. What we're doing is we're talking about some of the features and functionality of Mortgage Machine, but we're going to hear it from the perspective of someone that's used it for 10 years and that has used other LOSs as well. So Kara, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Dan.
So happy to have you with us.
Thank you.
So today, folks, you've got myself. My name's Dan McGrew. I manage the sales at Mortgage Machine, and we have Crystal Stanton, who's our superstar at all things Mortgage Machine demos and training and everything else. And then we have Kara. So let's start out with Kara. Can you tell everyone a little bit about your background, please?
Absolutely. So I've been in the financial services industry since I was a teller in college. I have moved throughout the banking world and then into the IMB world. For the IMB, I've been exclusively in the IMB world since 2012. I have worked for large corporations such as Guaranteed Rate, CMG Financial, Prime Lending, as well as your smaller and intermediate, such as where I am now, Click and Close, and Interlink Mortgage. I have worked a lot of different spots within the mortgage banking, so hopefully that will come and shine out when we talk a little more about Mortgage Machine today. But I've worked operations, I've worked sales, I've worked QC and compliance. So hopefully, if you guys do have any questions today, I can kind of pick through all of those different layers of what an IMB has to go through when they're originating a loan.
Great. Kara, tell us a little bit about. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I have to assume the other places that you've worked with multiple LOSs. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Very good. Okay, so as I mentioned in my introduction, that you've been a user of Mortgage Machine, you know how it operates. You're certainly an expert when it comes to the industry, but you also, I think, what makes you an expert is that you've used multiple LOSs. So, can you give us at a high level some of the things about an LOS that are really important, and what makes a happy bunch of campers using an LOS versus the disgruntled, frustrated kind?
Yeah, and just so the folks on the call know, I've used Empower, Encompass, Lending QB, and of course Mortgage Machine, which I've used for close to a decade now. For me, the most important things are flow, right? How do I get through the system, and how do I interact with the other vendors that I use when I am going through the process of originating a loan? So flow is very, very important. Moving between milestones is also important, right? A loan is not one-way linear. We go back and forth between the different ones. So getting through those milestones, but being able to kind of toggle back and forth when you need to is very, very important. Controls are important. Obviously, that's my little compliance hat jumping on there, but controls are important. It keeps us out of trouble. And then reportability. So as a executive, for me, reportability is key, right? It kind of tells me what's going on either in my department or in my organization. And that really does drive home a lot of things from sales all the way through into servicing. We service in-house. So all of that reporting functionality is definitely a key important feature.
So, if you could hone it down to one thing, what do you think is the most important thing that an LOS possesses that from your side on the all the different areas you've worked and operationally, what do you think is the most important thing when it comes to looking at your underwriters, your loan officers, all the parties involved? What do you think is the most important thing if you can single out one thing?
Ease of use.
Ease of use.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a great segue. Can you talk a little bit about the efficiency component? If ease of use is one of the most important things, okay, do you think that ease of use has to do, or is it directly correlated to the system being efficient, or are those two separate things in your book?
Well, they can be separate and they can be the same thing, right? You definitely want an efficient system, but efficiency of system is one thing and efficiency of use is another. So what I mean by that is you can have a system that's very quick, it's very efficient, it runs smoothly, it does all of those things. But if it's hard for your user to get around in it, it doesn't matter how efficient the core part of the system is. So it's really that holistic ease of use. It's also the ease of use with your other vendors, your VOE vendors, your VOI vendors, your flood cert vendors, your pricing engine, right? So it's not only itself being efficient for your use, but how does it integrate with all of the vendors that you use to get through that origination process?
So the when we talk to lenders that are accustomed to utilizing a system with a lot of different vendors, a lot of different parties, that whether it's pricing or point of sale or whatever it is, okay. Do you find, or have you found in the past, that the bog down comes from so many different parties involved that are third parties and not a part of the original LOS? Do you find that?
I do, as well as other things, if you don't mind me kind of waxing a little
Please,
bit here.
please.
Okay, so I have seen some systems where they're just inefficient, like if disclosures take 45 minutes because it's such a bogged down, slow system running, right? I've seen that vendor integration is very poor, and so you're having to toggle around too much, or it doesn't integrate everything. So you got to go over here, you got to do your thing, it dumps half the data, and you got to go in and figure out, what else you need to add to your LOS. So there's many components that a system will diminish in its efficiency because of the integrations that it has with its vendors. And even within itself, like I said, I have seen some systems it just takes forever to get through, and then some systems don't allow multiple people in there, so you're always like, let me know when you're out of the file. And so it's that kind of inefficiency, right? That ease of use for your folks to get through that loan origination.
Can you address the most important aspects of the use of the LOS, the efficiency, but how it's able to help reduce the closing time, we'll say, from being 25, 30 days down? Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. Now, some of that is, also, I won't, I'm going to be fully transparent and not, to I want people to know I'm not ignorant. There is a lot of other things that bring your efficiencies down, right? Like day one certainty items and other things, right? So it's not all about your LOS, and I'm not ignorant to that fact. But I will say that a very good LOS that has all of those wonderful things I was talking about really can shorten that time from app to closing. And that's because you're not having to jump around, you're not having to wait for people. You're able to get in there, do what you need to do, regardless of what somebody else is doing. Now, the controls are there, guys, and they have to be there, right? You can't have an LO in there changing loan numbers while your underwriter's underwriting it, right? But through the efficiencies that you pick up, you're able to get things done faster, turn it over to the next one in line, and move around. It just, I've seen it cut 10, 15 days off if you have a really good LOS.
Okay. And so, just I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but I'm gonna. The other LOSs that you've used in the past, what percentage of we'll just use LOs as an example, what percentage of the LOs would you say that this LOS is a dream? It does everything I need it to do, and I would never look at another one. what percentage of the LOSs that you work with, and you mentioned four, we won't mention them by name again, but you mentioned those. What percentage of the time have you ever heard that, if ever?
I don't like absolutes, Dan, but I'm going to give you an absolute. I don't think I have ever heard one say it was a dream ever.
Very
There's
good.
some that they like better than others. That's true. But I've never heard one tell me it's a dream.
All right, so let's do this. Let's take a look at some points within some things about Mortgage Machine, and first of all, as we go through this, can you give us an overview of the things that maybe it's the characteristics, the components, you've already mentioned efficiency, but can you mention just a few things to tease folks as to what we can touch on and show them a little bit today as to why you're excited, why LOs like the system, et cetera?
Absolutely. And some of this isn't just about LO, so I don't know. Hopefully there's more on the call than just LO specific, but you know, there's error elimination that happens, which helps you with your QC. It helps you with your state exams, and it helps you with your steps, right? When you go to sell to those aggregators, it helps you with those steps. So when we walk through this, the efficiency pickup as well as the error elimination, and some of that's the control. There's a lot of cost savings that goes into it, right? Again, it's more efficient. So some systems that you may be used to out of the box doesn't work. And so you have to do a lot of bolt-ons to get the system to be where you want it to be. And Mortgage Machine doesn't have that, right? So that is a huge, not only is it a cost savings for those of you on the call who may be in the C-suite and driving those P&Ls, but it also saves on your time to originate for sure. And then secondary marketing and investor benefits, just loan package accuracy, reducing again the cost and the time that you're spending in there. You can get those out faster, get them to your borrower faster, and make those closings a lot smoother. And again, going back to the reporting, you have all this reporting along with it that you can kind of keep track of all of that and kind of know if there are any bottlenecks, or what's going great, or where you may need some refinement within your process. But and then just a little teaser here, we also use Smart Docs here, and we'll talk about that hopefully later. Dan, we'll get a chance to talk about it. But Mortgage Machine has Smart Doc technology, and so that really takes out the imaging of docs and really gets you your data driven. So I really like that functionality. I kind of geek out on that, and hopefully I'll get to geek out later with you, Dan, on it. But that Smart Doc technology really does, again, just another layer of efficiency pickup for a lender, and really for the whole process. I know loan officers probably are like, whatever, but if it helps your back end, it helps you, because it's making them better for you, and it makes the loan move faster for you and your borrower. So I know that that's not always, the kind of the fun stuff for a loan officer, but it does help move that loan.
Well, let's just talk about Smart Docs right now, Kara. So for those of you that are not familiar with Smart Docs, it's capital SMART. Mismo is all behind. If anyone's familiar and follows what Mismo standards and what they're after, basically the fundamental difference with a Smart Doc in a normal PDF file is that the Smart Doc is originated from the data set, and you've got over here a PDF that you're accustomed to, that you've got blanks in the document that you go in and you fill out that information. The Smart Docs are generated in from code. Okay, so Crystal, can you show? We have something you can show that'll just so that it'll mean something to folks, and I'll speak a little bit more after you pull it up.
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'll go ahead. This is Dan. This is an example of an LE Smart Doc that we're looking at. So you could see it's in its fully coded state.
Okay, and so that you're like, well, there's no, what in the world is that? This is the same thing that you have when you have an eNote. If any of you are familiar with eNotes, you've got to have a Category 1 Smart Doc to produce an electronic note. Okay, at some point, I'm hopeful that you'll get to the place of e-closing and produce eNotes. But this is what behind the actual look at the PDF. This is where the data set I'm referring to and where it comes from to create this document. So that's the basically the explanation of what a smart doc is. So Kara, you're very experienced and very advanced, and you're familiar with this. Can you explain a little bit about why you think that this is valuable and important going forward?
I can, and I'm like I said, I geek out. So guys, be prepared. So I'm so excited for this. I'm gonna just before I get into the smart doc side, you guys have probably heard OCR and AI and all of that. But if you've ever really looked into OCR, which is the something recognition, I had it in my head, now it's gone. But when you do that, when you really look at it, a lot of the things that you look at right now on the market, they read the data, but they don't input that data into the system for you. Some do. There are a couple that will do it, but for the most part, they don't do that. So you're still having to go behind and either look at what it read for you and make sure that it's right and then key it in, or if it inputs it, it's still telling you you've got to go. And so you're not getting away from the stare and compare. You are still doing the stare and compare. What smart docs will do for our industry is it's not having to read an image, right? It all the data is there electronically. All it has to do is go get the code and pop it in. So there's no is it right or is it wrong. Now, you will still need OCR because right now, the pay stubs that your borrower sends you are not in that smart doc code. Hopefully we can eventually get there. Bank statements are not in that. So there's still a need for that OCR and some of that AI technology. But the docs that are smart doc, and the more that we can get, like Dan was saying, Mismo's really trying to get into it. The more that we can get smart doc technology into more aspects of our industry, then again, we don't have to worry about the confidence rating of an OCR. It's code, man. It's data. If it's $30, it's $30 and it's in the code and it pops it in. So that's what I really, really like about smart docs and kind of already being on the edge of that with Mortgage Machine, because we're ready. When Mismo goes, we're ready because we already have the tech. I don't have to go research a vendor. I don't have to implement it. I don't have to understand it. I don't have to train my staff on it. We got it. So I just really, really love having that ready. But I am also really into innovation. I don't mind being a pioneer. But again, it's people are afraid of pioneer because of the confidence ratings, right? Even when OCR came out, I don't like a confidence rating of 75, right? I want 85 and 190, right? Well, this is code. I don't have to worry about it. So I could wax poetic, Dan, so I won't. But really, really great tool to have, especially not just now, but as future changes happen in our industry.
Oh, that's great, Kara. Thank you for that. And what I will tell those that are paying attention to this is, uh, as Kara mentioned, that we've got the technology, and here's the difference. Everybody that's in the business of e-notes, they've got smart docs, or they have a smart e-note because they have to, or they can't produce it. They can't produce an electronic note without it. Okay, so that's one document in your entire package, in your disclosures, your closing package. That's one document that's smart today with anyone out there in the market, as far as we know. Um, what we're telling you is that we're going to have smart documents. We have smart documents from the front end disclosures all the way through your closing package, which that is a significant difference. That is not, people aren't, they use different terminology and so forth, but we can speak with confidence. What we're talking about is a complete document set that's smart, right, Kara?
That's right. Absolutely. Soup to nuts.
Soup to nuts. So we expect that, certainly for a lot of people, it's out there, but we certainly know that if Mismo gets their way, this is going to become a standard in time. I don't know, I don't know how long. Hope it's in a couple weeks, but at some point it's going to be something that is an everyday common thing, and we're there today, and we can discuss and talk later about, the cost, which is one of the other benefits certainly of a Mortgage Machine. Okay, Kara, let's take a look, the general thing, and if Crystal can help you go through this, let's look at, say pick out the top four things within Mortgage Machine that you think as a user, and having used others, that you think are really cool.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the little stuff and build up to the big for that excitement moment at the end, guys. So I'm going to start first with the ability for, I think, Crystal, if you can show it, I would love for folks to see the ability for multiple users to be in and make changes on the file at the same time. This is a big deal. So as Crystal's bringing it up, some of the systems that you're used to, unless I think you might can buy a really expensive bolt-on, but I can't, don't quote me on that, but you have to wait. Or you have to click a doorbell that says, go tell Crystal I want in the file, please, and get out. And Mortgage Machine doesn't do that. And I absolutely adore that feature about Mortgage Machine because you're not having to wait for somebody to get out of the file. So Crystal, if you don't mind showing that for us.
Absolutely. So what you're looking at is our homepage on Mortgage Machine. And I do want to note that Mortgage Machine is role-based. So on my screen, you're going to see longer ribbons and menus just because I have full access for today's purposes. So here you can see I am logged into Danny 333, and I'm going to head over as the LO onto our pricing and lock screen. So here you can see the file name, and here you could see the user that's logged in. I'm going to go on to my other profile here. Now on this screen, you could see as my demo as a processor. And as a processor, I'm on my asset screen working through adding in the needed assets for our borrower. Going back to my LO, say I want to, as an LO, go in and just view what's on the asset screen. I could go it, even though the processor is on the asset screen, I'm still able to work through the file on my pricing lock screen. But if I want to go in and look at the asset screen where the processor is already working, I click to go to that screen. It's going to give me this pop-up at the top, and it lets me know that the record's locked, meaning that I have a view only access to this screen. It's letting me know who's in it, but it also gives me the option, if needed, to override it. And a good use case is, and I'm sure we've all been there, where someone leaves for the day and they're in the loan and you need to work on it. So all I need to do is click OK, and it's now going to update me so I could access this file as needed. And if I go back to my processor's account where they're logged into the same one, they're going to get a pop-up to let them know that Crystal, the LO, has locked the record because they're working on that screen.
And again, that sounds kind of scary. There are some controls in place. So again, if the underwriter has claimed the file and has it, this goes away. It does lock it out so that you're, so there are some really good controls still in place for when you don't want people going in and changing things that they shouldn't change. But I will say, there is an ability for an underwriter to hand back to an LO. So if the underwriter's in the file, they can hand it back to the loan originator, say, hey, they're on the phone, right? And I just need you to change this one thing and I can CTC it. Okay, I'll hand it back to you. You change it, make the changes, and then they can take it back. So there is some really great functionality, even still with the underwriter, in order to release that and get it to change. But that ability to work in tandem, it's so helpful. If I'm on the phone with Crystal and I'm the processor, she's the LO, I'm like, okay, I've got it. Let me change this while you're over there changing liabilities. I'm going to change assets. Let's see what we come up with DTI. And you're both in the file. You're not having to go back and forth on it. And it just helps with so many things throughout the process. Investor steps. I'm on the phone, I'm talking to the processor, or if you're in closing and you're talking to the processor, or it's fantastic to be able to collaborate together in the file together and not have to go, okay, I'm logged out, log in. Now you make your changes and let's see what happens. You're doing it in real time together. That is such a huge time savings to be able to do it. And I know that sounds so minute, but when you're in there and really working a file, that is not minute, because it is a pain in the tush to have to log out, log back in, and log out and log back in when you could just be working in tandem. So that, I really love that feature. And again, it's such a small little nugget. It's like the tapas world of your food world, but it's so delightful and just a huge help to really the whole process from start to finish.
All
The
right,
other
that's
thing,
one. How about it? How about another one?
I'm going in. Okay, so I love processor templates, and you guys might not use processor templates in your organization, and that's okay. There are some other functionality within Mortgage Machine that does something similar. But what I like about processor templates here is your processor's going through and checking off what they need to do. The templates are based on what you do. So if you're in an FHA loan, it can be FHA specific. If you're in an OTC loan, it can be an OTC specific. But when they're ready to upload documents, they don't have to go to the imaging system. They can check it off and upload the image right here at the same time. So Crystal, if you'll, I'm gonna be quiet and let you kind of walk through that.
Oh, sure. So we're looking at that template. Now, this is a test template, so it's much shorter. But from here, say we're going to look at the bank statement requirement. As the user, all I need to do is click on this document, which will allow me to upload it. Now you could search through your files, or you can do a drag and drop, which I'm going to do into this blue square. Now, one of the benefits of using the template is if you're using the template and you upload the document onto that specific requirement, it already sets the class and subclass for you. And from here, they have an option to add in any description that would also come over. So maybe this is my July statement, and from there I can upload it. It'll let me know that the upload was successful. And the benefit of that is that now when I'm going to see it, I could see it right here. I don't need to go over into the imaging system to view the document. I could click on this icon and it's going to pull up a copy or allow me to access the PDF version of that. And I'll go ahead and open that up so it allows me to see that. In addition to uploading, so if you've already had documents that were uploaded, but you want to attach them to your requirements, you could also do that easily by clicking this plus button. And it's going to pull up a list of documents that might have already been sent over. And from there, you could go ahead and click the applicable documents, and it'll also add it to that requirement. So as you're working through it and you're entering the dates of completion, you could also see what documents were attached to that particular requirement.
And I don't know about you guys on the call, but that's a hot dog moment. I mean, that is like hallelujah. Because processor, if you can keep people in one spot, that is really super helpful on the flow and ease of use that I was talking about earlier with Dan, right? That jumping around, finding screens, scrolling to find the right one, clicking on image, having to open two so you have image available over here. For every click your folks are having to do or you are having to do, it's slowing you down. It doesn't matter how good you are or how fast you are. If you have to do 5 clicks instead of 1, it's still 5 more clicks. So this is just a wonderful opportunity for your processors to be more efficient when they're trying to prep and get it into underwriting, and then even to clear conditions. I mean, it's just fantastic. I can't praise it enough. It's such an efficiency pickup completely.
All right, that's 2. I know you got a third out of 4.
I do. Okay, so the next one is direct integrations with your vendors, which sounds a little trite because it's like, yeah, I've got direct integrations with my vendor, but do you really? Because I know I've used some systems, I'm not going to name names, but you actually have to go to a different segment of it. When you get in, it's hard to find your vendor, right? And then it comes up with a pop-up, and then you're working in this pop-up to log in and get all of that done. And it's just a little bit cumbersome. So it is a direct integration. It's a little bit cumbersome. So Crystal, if you don't mind, I think the 2 fastest maybe to show them is let's do an MI quote and then order an appraisal and let them see kind of what that looks like.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll start from our interfaces, and I'm going to go in and we'll start with the mortgage insurance. And on this one, I think just for demo purposes, I'm going to be doing a quote versus actually ordering it yet because it's a newer file. So here's the templates that you have to choose from. You could do a quote. If you've already done a quote, you could order the cert. I could apply my template, or I could do a one-click and apply, meaning that I could apply the template and automatically send the request. But in this use case, I'm going to do the apply template. And what that does is it gives me the option to go in and edit anything from here before I submit to the MI company. And once I've have all the information set as I want to, I could click submit to send to the MI company. And then once it's sent back, I'll get a success status. It'll let me know my rate quote. And from here, it'll show me the coverage detail. Here's the one that I just did. And it also automatically pushes over to our imaging system. But if I click on this PDF icon, again, without having to leave Mortgage Machine, I could simply click on that and it's going to pull up a copy of my MI quote.
And that click to order, that one-time click to order is great as well. I mean, I haven't seen one really operate that smoothly, but being able to just apply an order and be done, move on with your day, it's fantastic. And then
So
if you would, I'm sorry, Crystal, go ahead.
I was going to move on to the appraisal, if that's okay.
That's it.
Perfect. So I'm going to go in again to our interfaces and I'm going to select to order an appraisal. I'll go into the products and select from here, adjust the due date if I needed to.
Now I want to, if I can just pop in, Crystal, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Little bit excited in my fireside here. So what's great about this template is you can set an auto due date timeline, right? So behind the scenes, your admin can say, I want all of my due dates for appraisal to automatically be 1 week, 2 weeks, right? Any market shifts. I mean, back in the heyday when life was awesome in the 2020, you had to put a much further one out than a week. But as the market has gone down, you can, but those are all adjustable and your folks aren't having to go in and think about it. So if you set it for a week, like this one is, then it's a week every time. And that's not a date you have to fill out, which again, I know that sounds silly, but it's one less click that you have to do. It just automatically does it for you. And then if you want, you can go ahead and click rush priority if you prefer. But I just love that functionality that this all defaults and you only adjust for those one-offs that you have rather than every loan you're having to make those choices.
And the next one is this primary contact. Now, right here, my template's set up to have the borrower as the default. But if you do have a real estate agent, they can also be selected as the primary contact here. And by selecting that, then I could go ahead and place my order and then they would be contacted for the appraisal information and follow-up.
And I will also tell you on that payment, while this is thinking about life, the payment, we've got it here deferred as credit card, just like this demo has it. But you know, sometimes you'll get a call from your branches that say, hey, I want to be able to invoice this one. And how do I do that? And in some LOSs, that's not easy, or you actually have to call your appraisal desk and the appraisal desk has to go in and they have to make the change. You can do it right here and just drop that down and say, I want to invoice. Now, if you don't want that option available, you can choose not to have that option available to your branches, but we at Click and Close have it available to them. But that's very nice that they can self-serve and do that.
And as well as once the order is placed, it does give you the option to go ahead and upload your sales contract directly here. So if I was to do that, I go ahead and choose my file. And again, it's going to give me the option to either sort through my files or do a drag and drop. I'm going to go ahead and grab my sales contract and upload it from here. And again, that's pushed out automatically into our imaging system. And it allows the user to click on the PDF to view the document directly from the screen without having to go into the imaging system.
And the order statuses do keep you up to date. This is just an initial order, but as you move through the process, you'll get more order status updates so that if you're an LO or processor coming in here, you can see in real time what your order status is for your appraisal.
Absolutely. I think, let me see if I could find one that has that for you. Go ahead and pull up a different file and move back into, I believe I ordered one on here, but again, it's test files. So from here, you could see that it was ordered. It lets me know that it was accepted. This being a test file, it was obviously canceled. So they're able to see all those updates from here.
Okay, that's 3 out of 4. We got one to go. One of your favorites.
Okay. Yes.
Fill us in.
Yes. So what you just saw was kind of your soup salad. I'm moving into the entree, man. This is the one right here. So Mortgage Machine has a built-in pricing engine. So your LOs are not going into another, I won't call out names, they're not going into another pricing engine. And then there are some updates I've heard of that some LOSs and are getting better integration, but it's still a little bit rudimentary. So it's almost like having to go do a scenario and then go in and actually do something with your LOS. This is a built-in pricing engine. And what I love about this is twofold. As an operations person, what I love about this is anytime I have an exception request, this is where I go, because it tells me it's almost the Cliff Note version of your file, because you've got your left hand or your right hand side, excuse me, that kind of gives me the ribbon there tells me my DTI and my assets and my reserves and my kind of just a high level, which I know some don't unless you pay for those bolt-ons. And then the left side gives me the rest of the nitty gritty, right? It gives me the sales price. It gives me their credit scores. It gives me if it's full doc or streamline, if it's first lien or second lien. I mean, this just really gets, so when I'm trying to make an exception approval, or unfortunately those couple of denials, this is where I go. This is such an amazing screen to give me so much data about the file, and I do not have to flip around between screens to figure out what's going on with this file. I mean, does it give you everything? No, but it is the place to start for me. So again, that twofold from an operational perspective, absolutely love this screen to try to figure out exception request. And then, of course, the real bread and butter is the pricing engine on here and being able to price out my loans, even on a best X. So I'm going to let Crystal does an amazing job of showcasing this, and I would just mess it up. So I'm going to let Crystal showcase it. And then, of course, if you haven't already been able to tell, I like to pipe in. So I'll pipe in as Crystal's walking through how this works.
Absolutely. So as Kara mentioned, we have our own proprietary pricing engine, and it's powered by AI to automatically ingest and process your daily pricing updates from your configured investors and aggregators. And before I dive in, Dan, did you want to ping in and give a little bit more detail about that part?
So what the functionality she just talked about is that every morning, let me back up. In the very beginning, when we onboard you, we're going to get a list of all the aggregators, all the investors you sell to, whoever it is, doesn't matter. We're going to load those into the system. Mortgage Machine is going to know, oh, okay, so we've got this number of investors that they want to see pricing on a daily basis. So AI tool will go out in the morning, will retrieve the daily rate sheet, price sheet of any investor. Doesn't matter how many or the number that you have. It's going to update it. So every day when your team sits down, they're going to have active, current information at their fingertips, right there, which will allow them to ultimately get to the place of seeing whatever the best X is. So go ahead,
Excellent.
Crystal.
Thank you. So as Dan mentioned, once our AI has completed the pricing updates, the admins would receive an automated alert to advise that the updates have been successfully completed. But they could go directly into the system and see that by clicking on this utility wheel, which would bring them to their admin screen, where they could see their product and pricing data profiles. And I'm going to click into that really quick. So here you could see all the documents, or I'm sorry, all the products over on the left. And to the right, you would see the most recent update. So you see today's date, and again, this morning's time where it did the update, and that's showing in Central Time.
And
So
hey, Crystal's pause right, if you'll stay right there.
You got
it. I won't name names, but there is a certain LOS that when I call this the backside because it sounds so cool. You're on the backside of Mortgage Machine, but when you're on the backside, other LOSs, when you go in here, I don't know if you've never seen the admin side of those. It is so cumbersome. And when you go in, it's this pop-up and it's not very big. And you scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. Having the whole screen like this sounds silly, but I'm telling you, having updated products and pricing in other LOSs, well, really products, because you're pricing through your other pricing engines, but this is just so beautiful. Even for your lock desk or whoever's adding your products in here. I hadn't planned to talk about this, but it just popped in, Dan. But it's just a great great, great tool, unlike some of the other ones that I have used in the past. So sorry, Crystal.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. I'm going to pop back actually to our pricing and lock screen so we could review some of the more options down here. So here on the left-hand side, you have various filters allowing you to customize your search. So this will allow you to filter by closest to par or by a specific loan rate. In addition, you could also apply multiple criteria to compare different products simultaneously. So for instance, we're looking at a conventional file, but say I want to look at conventional versus FHA product, I would just make the applicable selection here and then click to update my product list. And here you could see on the same screen, it's showing me both my FHA and my conventional product. And the same would apply to your term. So say you want to look at a 30-year versus 15. Again, you just make the applicable selection, click to update your product list, and it's then going to allow you to share or to see both your 15-year and your 30 all on the same screen. And I'm going to pop into one of these products just so we could take a look at the rate table. So here you can see the rate table provides a clear breakdown of how the different rates may affect your borrower's P&I and the overall loan costs. So on the left, you can see it breaks down the P&I dollar amount for each rate option. And to the right, we've added additional columns showing the cost or credit amounts associated with each rate within the applicable lock period. And below that, you would see the pricing adjustments that are already calculated above. And we also have a hidden pricing adjustment feature. Now that's only available to those that would have proper permission, say like a branch manager who might want to see their local pricing adjustments for their branch or region. If they have that option, they could click that square wheel and then it would then show those additional hidden pricing adjustments that are calculated in the rate table above.
And
Now,
this is, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Crystal.
No, go ahead.
I'm excited. So on this one, I have in my prior lives, when I've had to go in, I'm talking to an LO about it, and we got our calculators out. We're like, okay, this is a 2-point hit or what, and we're calculating it, or the discount points are 0.515, and we're calculating the amount, seeing what we can do. This was such a game changer for us when Mortgage Machine rolled this out not too long ago, but being able to see that really quick, talk to the borrower on the fly, no calculator, it was really a big game changer for our loan officers. And again, you're in the LOS, and it's your live data for your loan. It's not what you kind of keyed in or just the fields that you can push over, because some do push, but it's not everything, right? So it's just an amazing thing to have that right there. And then this is just a little nugget, man, to have that available to you and not have to bust out your calculator.
Absolutely. Now, Carrie, you mentioned Best X. So I'm going to go ahead and pop into another file so I could show a little bit more about the Best X feature. So we'll go and head over to the pricing and lock screen. So here's our Best X feature. Now this is going to streamline your pricing comparison process, and the feature will display which investor offers the best price. So for example, if investor A is winning at 6%, but investor B maybe has a better price at 6.5, our pricing feature will transparently break that down for you. So I'm going to go ahead and select one of my Best X products. And I do want to note, as a lender, you have full control over which products and investors to include in your Best X product. So this can be all of your investors or a subset. And you could also customize that access permission to different roles, locations, even down to the individual user. So here again, you see the applicable rates. It'll call out the P&I dollar amounts and your credit and costs. And to the right, you would see which investor or aggregator is winning at that specific rate.
This is just, it's so fantastic. It is so, I mean, this is a good steak and potato, or for those of you who are vegetarians, it's a good eggplant and butter squash. I mean, this is amazing stuff right here. And like I said, this is a little bit newer feature for Mortgage Machine, this Best X. We currently have it where our branch managers can make that choice. But again, as she said, that's your choice, how far down the pipe you want to let them do the Best X. But again, between this ability here, and then adding in the actual cost and the P&I, such a game changer. And again, I'm going to say it again because I love it, is that you are in your LOS. So everything you're doing, if you want to lock this right now, you go lock it. Or you want to make a change to your file, you don't have to repush it. You go make a change to your file because your borrower goes, oh, I do have a second job. And so your DTI is going to go down. And so you go in, you make the change, you come right back here, and it's amazing. This is why I saved it to last, Dan, because this is a big deal. It's a big deal for me as an executive. Branch managers love it. The loan officers love it. This really is such a game changer.
Well, that's great information, Karen. I love your enthusiasm, and thank you very much for all the points that you've made today. I want to close with a couple of comments that I'd like for everybody to consider. Whether you're going to be looking at the recording of this, or you're still with us, or whatever. The concept of Mortgage Machine is designed for speed and efficiency. It was designed and built by mortgage people, the people that you work with, compete with, whoever. I mean, it is not something that came out of a lab somewhere and is just been tested today or tomorrow. It's been in use. As Kara said at the very beginning of this, she's used it for 10 years. What's coming is you will have, we have our own pricing solution, obviously, that we've mentioned, but what we didn't touch on is we have our own e-closing capability as well. So if you want to e-close in any form, the system is built into where it has that capability. So if you want to do a hybrid where it's, partially signed electronically, and some of it executed in wet ink, you can do that. You can have a full E where you produce an E-note. Now there's work that has to be done on your end with MERS, and you have to have an E-vault and all that, which we can provide. So there's another tool that is capable of making your life more efficient and a more efficient overall, production is that capability. Another contract that you don't have to go sign, and another vendor that you don't have to manage because it's there. And then, Kara, if you would just say 2 minutes worth of what you think about our file management system that's AI built, AI driven. Can you just give can you give a 2-minute summary of what that cool thing's all about?
Yeah. And I would just also echo what Dan was saying about the E-note and the E-close. Guys, if you haven't done E-note yet, we did it Click and Close did it like 5 years ago or something. And I was here with them at the time, and we saw a 25% overall savings. Those are real dollars, real dollars. So we were able to sell them faster to the aggregators, and we're a high agency seller, so we were able to sell them to the agency much quicker, get them off that warehouse line, and we were getting more bang for our buck out of our warehouse line. I know it's becoming a lot more common. We did it pioneering several years back, but guys, if you're not doing it, man, pound the pavement. It's worth getting your group to turn around. So Dan, I probably wasted 30 seconds on that, but so our click and file imaging system right now is, again, a lot of smart dock technology. It's a lot of user functionality. And what I like a lot about it, I like a lot about it, but I'm gonna mention a couple things. Number one, it can ingest big docs. So if you have any broker shops, if you're working with brokers, sometimes they'll send you a big 500-page PDF. You can dump that in, it'll split it for you. Not only will it split it for you, it will put it in the right folder for you. So that is really, really cool. And then the other thing is, let's say some bank statements got backwards, right? Your borrower gave you page 1, 5, 3, 4, and 6, right? And you go in. You don't have to download that, take it to a PDF, move it around. You can do it right there in the system. You can just grab the page you want to do and go whoop, and move it over and put it where you want it to do. Or if for some reason 2 bank statements got together and you really want those split, you just go in there, you grab July's and leave June's alone, and you say, I want you to dump it into another asset folder, bank statement folder, and you can do that. And then the other thing that they just rolled out not too long ago, so wonderful, is that you can change the stacking order live right there. So you don't say, I want all these documents, and then you print it to PDF, and then you go into your system, and then you tell it, I want this one here and this one there, and you don't have to do that. You just, it pops up, and you say, okay, I want my bank statement first. So for those of you who have to do Freddie and Fannie, where they come in, they audit you, or your MI audits, or even your aggregators, or your state exams. I mean, think about all that you do that has to be in certain orders. And you can go in there and you just, it's got all your documents. You can see that it's got all the documents that you need, but then you can move them around in the order that whatever Joe Schmo wants it in, you put it in Joe Schmo's order right there. There's no downloading and uploading. That drives me nuts personally. So you can tell I'm passionate about that, because I hate that. And so that's a more recent rollout for Click and File. I'm still getting people used to it here at Click and Close to use that, but just such a great feature. So it's just got so much, and they've got a couple things on the roadmap that are going to be really cool to help your underwriters, help them know when they've reviewed things and when they haven't, and all that. So again, not only did they just build the system, they're enhancing the system, and I can't wait to see these next few rollouts. Dan, I don't know if that was 2 minutes, but I tried to get the best in there.
It was perfect. Thank you, Kara. And so, folks, what I would tell you is, if you have any interest in seeing more of Mortgage Machine, reach out to me, please. Happy to take you through, and we can do a deep dive and let you see anything and everything you want to see about it. Last point that I would make would be that the cost of ownership is important, and I think that as we've been in a market that's been challenging, to say the least, and who knows what 25 and is going to bring. Hopefully nothing but sunshine and daffodils. But at the end of the day, the cost to produce a loan has just continued to go up and up and up over the years. And this is an alternative to that. This will absolutely help you reduce the cost to manufacture a loan. So I really, really appreciate you joining us today, Kara. Thank you so much for your incredible insight into Mortgage Machine as a user for many years, and we're thankful for you. And thanks to everyone that joined us today. If you have questions or would like to know more, please reach out, and we really appreciate it. Crystal, did I leave anything out?
I think you covered it all. Thanks, Dan.
Okay. And thank you, Kara, very much. And you
Thank
folks
you.
have a wonderful day, and we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.